Jack worked at a funeral home. For the last 4 years of his life, he's worked there. For the most part, he would say that nothing too eventful ever happened at this funeral home. Up until now. A young woman who was murdered was brought into the funeral home. He, for some reason, would say, even before things started going on, that he felt like something was just off. He was uncomfortable the whole time, and normally he was used to dead bodies and he wouldn't get uncomfortable, but this was a little different. And then at one point she stood up and she fell back down, and that really creeped him out because he knew that bodies will make sounds and stuff once they've passed. Standing up, though, was a whole different level for him. So he goes home that night trying to get her out of his head, and the fact that it was just an odd experience for him because he has never felt so uncomfortable before, and he's dealt with murder victims before, but this just felt different to him somehow. So that night, trying to go to sleep, he has a dream of the woman. And she doesn't look normal. The way she is dressed, he would say she looked like a witch, but a dark witch. And when he was having this dream, in the dream, she put like a spell on him. And he woke up in the middle of the dream. So what he could remember was that she had like a spell book, and that she was using like magic on him. And when he woke up in like sweats. And he couldn't go back to sleep that night because the dream just scared him. So the next day at work, he was actually going to be by himself. No one was going to be working with him this day. So at first everything was okay, and then he started hearing voices. Like a lot of voices. But the thing is he knew that nobody was working with him that day. So he was a little creeped out, but he was still obviously trying to remain professional. He thought, well, maybe some of his colleagues did come in and they're trying to play a prank on him. And then all the bodies started standing up, and he's terrified, like anyone would be in that situation. And they start coming towards him, and he runs out of the room, and he calls one of his colleagues and says that he just needs to go home. He tells them he doesn't feel good. He doesn't tell them what has happened. he still kind of thinks, oh, maybe they're playing a prank, but in the case that they're not, I'm not going to say anything. So he has to wait for the other colleague to come. So he doesn't go back in the room because he, at this point, is terrified. And he's still hearing stuff in that room. So once the colleague comes, he ends up deciding to go home. But when he gets close to his house, he notices that his door is open. He locked his door. His door shouldn't have been open. So he was in a panic thinking that, well, someone broke in. But he goes in to the house. And when he goes in, he hears a female's voice. And she tells him that he's the one that took her life. And he's very confused because he's like, what is she talking about? So he goes kind of closer to the voice and he's talking and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if this is a prank. And she speaks again. And at this point, he hears her voice, but he doesn't see her. But she tells him, you murdered me. And now I'm going to get my revenge. He tells her again, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's freaked out, but he's still thinking that a prank is being played on him. And then he hears the footsteps. And they get closer and closer until he actually sees her face. And it's the woman. And she's getting closer to him. And he starts running. He's trying to get away from her. Everywhere he runs, though, he sees her again. And he's begging her, like, I'm not the one who did this to you. But she still is saying, yes, you are. I know it was you. But she starts calling him by a different name. She calls him Sean and not Jack. And he tells her, my name is Jack, not Sean. Sean is my twin brother, is what he tells her. And again, she comes after him. Well, people have started realizing the next couple of days that they hadn't heard from Jack. And it wasn't like him. So, his twin brother ends up going to look for him. And he even notices that the front door is open. He goes in and he finds his twin brother dead. And right at his hand, he sees a locket. He opens the locket and he sees the young woman that he had just murdered a couple of days ago. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless.